'cause you seem so far away. But now I'm coming home. I'm coming back to you. I can't wait for the morning sun. I can't wait till the night is done to be with you, to be in your arms again. I can't wait for the morning sun. I can't wait till the night is done to be with you, to be in your arms again. It's been so long since we've been together. I tried to go to make it on my own, but now I'm coming home. I'm coming back to you. I can't wait for the morning sun. I can't wait till the night is done to be with you, to be in your arms again. I can't wait for the morning sun. I can't wait till the night is done to be with you, to be in your arms again, where I belong, where I feel strong. Just 5 more hours and I'll be there. I'll make amends, 'cause I'm coming back again, back into your life. I can't wait for the morning sun. I can't wait till the night is done to be with you, to be in your arms again. I can't wait for the morning sun. I can't wait till the night is done to be with you, to be in your arms again. I can't wait, I can't wait. I can't wait till the night is done to be with you, to be in your arms again. I can't wait for the morning sun. I can't wait till the night is done to be with you, to be in your arms again. I can't wait, I can't wait. I can't wait till the night is done to be with you, oh baby, in your arms again. I can't wait for the morning sun. I can't wait till the night is done to be with you, to be in your arms again. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, long winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
Hello everyone, how are you doing? Giada here in Las Vegas. Here comes the sun for sure. We always have the sun in Las Vegas. Windy a day, but I mean sun shines always. How is with you guys? I know it's 5 p.m. for you guys watching in New York. I see Chicago people over there. It's 5 in the afternoon. I see Australia people is early in the morning. Of course, people in Europe, I know sono le 11 di sera. It's almost time to go to sleep for Italy and French people. I saw Natalie from France. It's almost time to go to bed. You, Natalie. And of course, England and Ireland. We always have people from there. And it's 22 at night for you guys. How are you doing? It's Friday. Well, I appeared on Monday, and then I know you have missed me for all these days. I was busy with other things. I will tell you at the end of the show what I've been doing. Actually, all these days, I'm never vacationing. I'm always doing something else. But I missed you. Did you miss me, Guy? What have you been doing the whole week? Still is quarantine time, even though we have a little freedom to go outside wearing masks and stuff like that, social distancing. And actually, I was out last night with some friends. We went to a private club, and I was surprised to see that there's still a lot of people going around. Of course, we're all doing the social distancing things. We have to walk around with masks, and so I hope this carefulness that we are having is going to help not to spread the COVID-19 extra. I know that Florida, they let the guard a little bit down and the number rise again. So let's be careful wherever we do. Let's do it with some brain. And I know we all, last night also I saw this friend of mine and I wanted to hug them and get close to them. But even with my friends at the table, we are separated, not very close one to another. There's no touching, no hugging, nothing, and the waiters and all these beautiful waiters as masks. We don't see the face of anybody anymore. But yeah, everybody was friendly nevertheless and happy to be out. So what guys have you done all week, and are you ready for tomorrow, 4th of July? For the one of you here in the United States, and I see a lot of you there appearing today. I see Diane, Roger, Adriana, Salma, everybody, Antonio, there he is. And we have 4th of July tomorrow, very important holidays here in the United States, which is, we were saying this morning when I was saying and trying the camera with my guest of today, the amazing Dreama Denver. We said, Dreama, what a special day to have you here today with me, because you will hear she does a lot of stuff and amazing things for the veterans. So it's going to be special to talk with Dreama about that. Please continue to like the page or Facebook page and subscribe to my YouTube channel. There he is for you guys. Subscribe and tell all your friends and family we need to raise this number so we can continue to do and have a bigger circle of love. A week ago I was on a stage, remember? A week ago there was a Close to You concert. Actually, right now we were finishing the first show. We were doing the second show. It's already 1 week. It's time to do another one. Don't you think so? Well, I surely cannot wait to sing again. But before we do all of that, we have to do the Giada Live of today with a lot of good things coming up. You have to stay until the end, but I don't want to make my beautiful guest, wait too much. So let me introduce you to Dreama Denver. Already the name Dream comes from, I'm going to ask her if it comes from Dream. Already the name, I love it. I never met her physically. I never touch her and hug Dreama Denver. She's a good friend of our friend Doug, and he said you have to have Dreama Denver. Then of course I dig into her life and I adore that instantly, and so will you if you don't know her. Let me read on paper who is Dreama Denver if you don't know. So Dreama Denver is an actress, a writer, I know many of you know of her, radio station owner and personality, as an amazing mother of an autistic son, and she was the wife for 30 years, close to 30 years, to television icon Bob Denver of the famous Gilligan Islands. I know you all guys, I mentioned during the week and you all loved it. Well, Bob and Dreama worked together acting for 10 years when they got married, and then they retired completely all together from show business, and they moved back to West Virginia to devote themselves to their son Colin's full-time cares when he was diagnosed with severe autism. We will be talking about it. You remember we had Joe Manchin, we talk also about the item. During this time, they also founded the Denver Foundations, an amazing foundation, and which honors their son and is dedicated to assisting special needs children and their families. Part of the foundation is also the Little Body Radio that Dreama does, and is a non-for-profit radio station owned and operated by the foundation. Since 2005, unfortunately, when Dreama lost her adoring Bob, she's been working so hard honoring his memory and the love they share together. She wrote a beautiful book that I want to have. I'm sure you guys want to have. It's called The Gilligan's Dreams, and is like it talks about the almost 30 years of marriage with Bob and many many other things. Actually, the book has received the prestigious Ella Decay Literacy Award that is given to authors who preserved history through their written work. It must be an amazing book that is worth reading. Dreama has discovered also new passion since the passing of Bob, and it has given new direction to the foundation. She has founded the Always Free Honor Flight, West Virginia's first honor flight program, honoring the West Virginia's veterans with free trips to Washington, D.C. every year to visit the memorials built to honor their service. You know how much I love veterans, so this is very dear to my heart. Dreama has also led the effort to have the famous songs of John Denver, Take Me Home, Country Home, to the place I belong, West Virginia. You know that song? I love that song. I sang it in Switzerland. I have to tell Dreama, I sang the song so many times. Anyway, she was the lead person that made this song, the Take Me Home, Country Road, the official West Virginia state song. It's so beautiful, right? And Dreama has also a new book. I'm so excited about. It's called The 4 Bears in a Box, that was published in March 2020 during COVID-19. Is she an amazing lady or what? She thought children need something, and she published the book. And nevertheless, the book has received the Mom's Choice Award for Books Excellence Award, the prestigious Indie Book Award, and a 5 stars Reader's Favorites Award. She won everything. Well, for her amazing dedication, Dreama has been chosen as one of the West Virginia's Wonder Woman by the West Virginia's Living magazine. She got an Outstanding Citizen Award in 2014, and in 2015 she has been chosen as Citizen of the Year by the Princeton Mercer County Chamber of Commerce and the Sons of the American Revolutions. She's a beautiful woman inside and out. I mean, you know how I'm a judge of character instantly. You're gonna love her and adore her, and I'm so happy and honored that she's with us here, appearing from West Virginia. Dreama, are you there?
I'm here.
Look at you.
Amazing to be on with you.
Finally, we made it, right, Dreama? We were supposed to do it Wednesday and then Friday, and then we made it. Tuesday and then Wednesday and then...
This is the third time, right? Which is the charm.
Exactly. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm doing really well. I'm just sitting in admiration of you because you have to be the hardest working woman in quarantine. I'm just saying.
I think, this quarantine, let's start from there. This quarantine has made all of us more human being. We had a lot of time in our hands, but none of us actually stayed home without doing nothing. We all figured out different way to entertain the people we love. You, for instance, you publish, I wanted to start from somewhere else, but you published a book at the beginning of this quarantine?
I did a children's book. I'm going to hold it up here. 4 Bears in a Box. Inspired by my husband, believe it or not, 20 years ago. Wow. Our autistic son loved being read to. That was our, cuddly, snuggly time with him. And so I read Dr. Seuss, which he loved tens of thousands of times, and I'm not exaggerating. And Bob came to me one day and he said, I think you should write a children's book. And I said, oh, you do you? And he said, I really do. You're a good writer. You've got the rhyme thing down. So I think you should try it. And I said, well, okay, but I'd have to come up with, something that little ones would like. And he said, I already have the title. And I went, okay, what is it? And he said, at that time, he said, 4 Bears in a Bag. Huh. And I went, what would 4 bears be doing in a bag? And he winked at me and he said, that's what you got to figure out. So the challenge was there, and I took him up on it and wrote the book. Then our son got older and more challenging, and then Bob was diagnosed and ended up passing away. And last spring, I was spring cleaning and went through a drawer and found the typewritten pages to 4 Bears in a Bag. And my thought was, this is still a cute story. And now I have a manager. So I got in touch with them. and sent it to him and said, can we do anything with this? And Headline Books, my publisher, picked it up right away, loved it. And my wonderful illustrator, Ashley Belote, brought my bears to life in a way that I never imagined. And there we had it. It was ready in time for quarantine. It couldn't have been, looking back on it, it couldn't have been better timing.
I mean, I mean, as we said, I mean, I'm hardworking because I do this Giada Live, but you have also done book readings during this quarantine for children, right? You kept busy doing things with this book, because I mean, the book has won already. And there is, by the way, for all the people watching, there is this beautiful video about the book with the voice of Charlie Adler. This famous voice for cartoons is amazing. I made a card later, guys. You have to go to bobdenver.com. Here's the thing, you have to go there. You can find all this information that Dreama is given to you, and there is a link for this video on YouTube. It was too long, it was 9 minutes to play it today, otherwise we would have had only video. But guys, you have to watch it. I mean, you made me feel like I was a little girl again, Dreama. It's so beautiful, that story.
It's really, it's wonderful. The book is written in rhyme, which I love.
Yes.
I think it makes a book for a little kid more memorable.
Yes.
It's all about, the title got changed, I should say, from Bob's 4 Bears in a Bag to 4 Bears in a Box, but that only made it that much more creative and imaginative, because anybody who's ever had a child in their life knows that children love playing in boxes.
Oh, yeah.
And so this box becomes magical. It becomes a train and a rocket ship and a hot air balloon, and their imaginations run wild, and they have all kinds of adventures with the box. And the reason it got changed to Box was 20 years after Bob challenged me to write it, the editors came to me during the editing process,
Yeah.
and said to me, children nowadays aren't going to know what a brown paper bag is.
It's true.
And I thought, oh, that's true. They're not going to know. And they said, would you mind changing it to Box? And I had to think about it because I had an emotional tie to 4 Bears in a Bag. But I could hear my husband's voice in my ear all that night when I was thinking it over. I could hear him going, honey, if they think the book is going to do better with the bears in a box, put them in a box. Not a big deal, not a big change. So that's what we did, and it made the book that much better. And the video, Charlie Adler, to have him read your work, number one, and number two, my friend Kevin Sizemore, whose idea it was, who produced it. I mean, a girl couldn't ask to have better people in her life. So it was really an amazing thing they did for this book, and for the kids at home, because they can watch the book on video.
Exactly. So you guys, if you have children at home, I mean, you need to go to the bobdenver.com and you click down on the homepage. I think there is just a link. It takes you to YouTube, and you're gonna spend the most amazing 9 minutes, even if you are an adult, though, because I'm an adult and I loved it. Dreama, let's go. You mentioned Bob in these last 5 minutes already 27 million times. You and him, I mean, I'm a romantic, and I think the little bit that I got to know you through the little things that time that we spent together, you had the most amazing relationship with Bob. Bob is an icon for the world, but what was it for you? Where did you guys met? Can you share something? I mean, let's start from the beginning. Where did you met Bob?
Oh, well, I was an actress, primarily a stage actress, and I was actually in Florida visiting my family, and I got a call from a friend saying that they were auditioning for the lead female role in Play It Again, Sam, a Woody Allen play, over in St. Petersburg, and she thought I'd be perfect for the part, and I should go audition, and so I said okay, and I did, and I got the part, and there we are.
Look at that.
And it was so interesting because the producer, after I got the part, I said, so who's going to be starring in the show? And she said, Bob Denver. And I went, Gilligan? And she said, yeah. And I went, I'm going to have to hug and kiss and do love scenes with Gilligan? And she said, if you want the part, you're going to have to. And I went, oh, okay, yeah, I want the part. Little did I know, I mean, we met the first day of rehearsal, and he, even the cast who was there at the time, and was just meeting all of, we were all just meeting for the first time. Even they said they could feel it the minute we were introduced and shook hands. He looked at me and he said, they had a marquee out front that said Bob Denver starring in Play It Again, Sam, also starring Dreamer Perry, which was my maiden name.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he said, your name is Dreamer? And I said, no, my name is Dreama. And he said, your name is Dreama? And I said, yes, that's my name. And he took my hand and he said, it's a pleasure to meet you, Dreama. And I mean, there were sparks. And about a week later, we started seeing each other, and we were together for almost 30 years. And he was absolutely the love of my life. I miss him every day of my life. But I hope that I'm doing him proud and carrying on and making him, if he were here, even though he's not right here, I know he's smiling. I know he is.
In Italy, we have this saying that every time you mention somebody that is not with you, it's because he's next to you. So he makes you. So I think you talk to him all the time, about him all the time. So I think Dreama is here with us, actually. He's behind you making faces. I believe so.
I believe so too. And I can feel him.
Yes.
Often I can feel his presence. And he was, when people used to ask me during interviews when we were doing them together, they would say, what made you fall in love with him? And the answer is, and it's still the true answer, his brain. He had a brain that was different than any I'd ever known. He thought outside the box, talking about bears in the box. He looked at the world in a very different way than people did the way I grew up. And it fascinated me to learn from him. And I still consider him, 15 years after his passing, my greatest teacher. I feel like I learned more from him. He was highly intelligent. And I know people don't associate that with the character of Gilligan. But he was highly intelligent. And I just feel like I learned so much from him. And I still love him to this day so much.
You are, yeah, I mean, I love to hear this. I'm good friend with a lady called Eva Franchi. She was married to Sergio Franchi, the famous tenor. And just like you remember Sergio, she's like a sister from another mother for me. And she has the same relationship and passion she had for Sergio that passed away 25 years ago. And she said, there is no man on earth that have the same thing, that Sergio could look at me and said we knew what was inside our mind. And I love the fact that you still are so close to him. I think love is really forever.
It is, and I feel very connected to him still, and you mentioned Gilligan's Dreams earlier.
Yes.
And he always called me Dreams. So that's where that title came from. And Gilligan's Dreams, I wrote that book because, and it's going to be re-released, a revised edition in the fall.
Cool.
And I'm really excited about that because I've been able to update the epilogue and talk about all the things that have happened, including Honor Flight, since he passed away. But the thing that amazes me, Bob was famous. I mean, he was a television icon, which would make him laugh, but he was. And he was so beloved by so many, millions and millions of people, generation after generation. And I wanted them to know who he was as a man. I mean, who he was as a father. He set aside all of Hollywood, pursuing series work, movies, all those things. When our son was diagnosed, he set all of that aside to be with me, to be with our son, to take care of our son. And I just think that speaks to who he was as a human being. And I wrote the book because I wanted people to know him, warts and all. It's not, all of it isn't pretty. A lot of it is. But I really tried to make it raw and real so that people could know who he was, because they should, if they're fans, I think they should be really proud of the fact that they are fans of his, because he was a upstanding, not a perfect, but an upstanding human being.
JJ is showing all these beautiful pictures of you and Bob, and pictures talk sometimes more than words, and I can see from the smile of both of you the way he embraced you and you embraced him. That was really true love. I mean, you were blessed for sure. Still are, because as we said, he never left.
No, so blessed so blessed in my life, just in general. You know, when he first passed away, and anybody out there who's lost a spouse will know what I'm talking about. I'm not being dramatic. I did not think I could live without him.
It's
It was
true.
so, we'd been together for so long, and we were so intertwined. And for the first few years, I wondered if I would be able to live without him. And the responsibility of our son became all mine, you know, and that was daunting.
Yes.
But somehow I just want people who may be going through it or have recently gone through it to have hope, because you can thrive, not just survive, but thrive. And somehow I've managed to do that. It doesn't mean that I don't miss him every minute of my life. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't give anything to have him back, but I found a way to go on, and a lot of that was carrying on things that we started together, and trying to carry on. I don't want to say in his place, but you know, trying to fill in
Yes.
for him where I could in whatever way I could, and that gave me an impetus to keep going. And then as time goes by, I want to say it gets easier. That loss never goes away, but somehow you learn to live with it. I can't describe how. It's just a process that you have to go through.
We are made to survive, right? And actually, I think if he was alive, we would be so proud of you. Can you tell us more about the foundation that you, as you said, you started a foundation together with Bob, right? And all the
Right.
great things you guys do. You started actually for helping children, right? Because of Collins and autism. Can you tell us more?
Right. We wanted to, you know, we knew, now let me preface this by saying,
Yes.
everybody thinks if they have watched you on television for the last, well, in this case now 55 years, the show has been on the air. They think you're sitting on mountains of money and you never struggle with anything. And that's not true. I'm sure it's true with musicians too. You know,
Oh, yes.
it's not true. Back in the early days of television, I mean, I watched an interview on YouTube with Bob the other day where somebody said, you know, if you'd known what you know now, he said, I would have made a better deal. Because, you know, that was always his answer, because back then they didn't know that streaming and CDs and DVDs and all those things would come along.
Yeah.
So we knew the struggle, whether people believed it or not, financially, emotionally, physically. I mean, having a child with special needs is really overwhelming. It can be very overwhelming. So we wanted to start the foundation in honor of our son, and to be able to do, even if it was small things, to be able to do whatever we could to help families who were trying to struggle through it. Oh, there we are again.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And so that's what we wanted to do. And the foundation has been, you know, it's a small foundation, but we have been able to help families, for instance, get iPads, because they use iPads for communication now with autistic, not just children, but people.
Yeah.
We have supplied bathtub chairs and special wheelchairs, and recently for like a 16, maybe 17-year-old young man who is totally handicapped, he still needed a car seat, and that's, you know, those aren't available for 16, 17-year-olds. And so we were able to supply that. So we have just Little Buddy Radio that you mentioned is a radio station I've had now for 16 years.
Wow.
And it is nonprofit, and everything generated by the station goes into the Denver Foundation. It's owned and operated, and that is something we started together. So I've just done my best to carry on with all the things that we started.
I think you've been, JJ Shane, I think you've been doing an outstanding job. I mean, I had some guests that had autistic children, so I know all the struggle, and some friend of mine have autistic children, so I know that there is way to communicate with them, but you have to put your hearts and to give attention. They're actually very smart and intelligent. It's just they don't communicate. Very.
Well, my son now is nonverbal. So he is, I can't even believe I'm saying this. I can't. It's hard to wrap my mind around the fact that my son is now 36 years old, but he is.
Oh, you look like you're 36 years old. Come on.
Bless you for saying that. Thank you. No, it's a really to me, he's still 15. He'll probably never get past that.
No.
But he is 36 years old, and I have never had a conversation with him. I don't know what he thinks. I don't know what he feels. I've never heard "I love you, Mom." That's something early on that I had to learn to, and with Bob's help, I was able to. Our normal was very different than the normal.
Normal, yeah.
And I would worry about the fact that, our son was never going to have the first day of school or fall in love or get married or graduate or all the milestones that parents look forward to. That always concerned me. And Bob, who was, again, the person who just always brought me back, he would say, honey, Colin doesn't know that. This is his normal. He doesn't know anything about graduating from school or getting married and falling in love and having babies, and you know that.
Yeah.
And so once I started really understanding that what he was saying was true, that it wasn't affecting Colin the way it was affecting
you, the mother.
me,
yeah,
it made it a little bit easier to wrap my mind around. It doesn't mean that once in a while you still don't think, wow, I don't have the grandchildren I thought I would have from my son and all that. But it's, he's been such a gift. I have learned so much having him about appreciation and unconditional love. I've just learned so much, and I know that God put him in my life for all the lessons I needed to learn by having him. And I wouldn't trade him for all the tea in China. I just wouldn't give him up for anything, because he's been, along with his dad, he's been my greatest teacher, and I love him to distraction. So.
And I'm sure even if he is not able to tell you, he loves you dearly. I mean, I always do believe that, sometimes we think people don't communicate on the straight way, but did you ever feel that connection with him, not verbally, but in different way? Can he communicate in any different way?
I can tell you, this is so amazing. When he was about 2 years old, maybe 3 years old, he started doing this really odd thing where he would come up to his dad or me, and he would put his forehead against our forehead, and he would close his eyes really tight. He had big blue eyes, still does.
Yeah.
And we would look at him, and suddenly he would open them and grin. And Bob said, we can't let this be nothing. He does it all the time. So we've got to make it into something. And I think we should call it a shot of blue, the blue eyes, right? And tell him that means I love you. And so every time he would do it, we would go, when he would open his eyes, and don't interrupt him in the middle, don't talk, don't move, or you have to start all over from the very beginning. And sometimes these shots of blue would last a minute, 2 minutes, like this. And then when he would open his eyes, I would go, oh, a shot of blue means I love you. And so that's what it became. And now when I go over and see him, he has full-time care. And when I go over to see him, and now in quarantine, it's interesting because I have to go up to his sliding glass door, and we have to do it through the glass.
Oh.
But he will put his head up against my forehead. So we stand there with the glass between us, and he'll do that, and then he'll open his eyes, and I go, oh, my shot of blue. So that was really sort of Bob leading that, changing that, or making that into something significant. That is Colin's way of saying, I love you, to us, or to people he meets that he likes, his caregivers that he loves. He shot of blue. That's a really big deal at our house.
Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing all these things. I know that they are so personal things. But what I like about you, Dreama, though, as you said that I like that you have this positive spirit, that no matter, even for you, let's say, married to an icon of TV, a beautiful woman, very successful yourself, then you get calling, you get these things that most of the people will say, I was not lucky. You see it still as a blessing for you because you have learned something. And I think the world needed that to happen, because you guys with the foundation are doing amazing things. Can you tell us, tomorrow is the 4th of July, and I know you are it's very close to your heart also, these things you do for the veterans. Can you tell us all about what you do with your foundation for the veterans in West Virginia?
I love our veterans. Any veteran who's ever gone on this trip with us, any veteran who knows me, Now, I can literally get teary talking about our veterans, spending time with them and hearing their stories, not reading about it in a book,
Yeah.
you know, not seeing a Steven Spielberg movie, though those can be wonderful,
Yeah.
but really spending time with them. In 2011, I became aware of a national program called Honor Flight. And I don't remember, I think I heard somebody interviewed about it, and I thought, wow, what a cool program that is. And so I sort of started, my assistant and I started doing research to see if West Virginia had a program, because what I found out was West Virginia had more veterans, still has, per capita
Oh.
than any state in the union. Now that's per capita.
Yeah.
And yet they had no honor flight program. So we set out, my assistant Pam and I set out to see what we had to do, what hoops we had to jump through, what we had to do to start an honor flight
Yeah.
program. So we started the first sanctioned honor flight program here in West Virginia in 2011. We made our first trip on D-Day
Wow.
of 2012. And since then, we have made 10 trips. We have served hundreds of veterans.
Wow.
We were not able, obviously, we usually go in May.
Yeah.
We weren't able to go this year because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
And so everything, we thought, okay, we'll try it in the fall. Well, I don't think we're going to be able to do it in the
Nah.
fall. So unfortunately, our 11th trip is not going to happen this year. But hopefully, you know, if everything lines up and everything's okay, we'll do it in 2011. But it has been the privilege of my life
Oh.
to be able to do honor flight. And if anybody listening, watching, if any of you guys ever get a chance to see a trip off, because I know Las Vegas has, you probably have more than one out there. If you have the chance to see a trip off, be a guardian on one of the trips, an escort for the veterans, or to see a flight when it comes back, there is no way not to be so emotionally moved. It affects you profoundly. So it's a privilege in my life to be able to do honor flight. That's for sure.
I think it's. I was reading, and by the way, guys, you can go on the bobdenver.com, and you can find all the informations. And actually, if they want, they can also help and support everything you're doing for the foundations. Wherever you go there, guys. So please go to bobdenver.com, and there are also some nice video that I saw. Of, I think it's one of the politicians of West Virginia was saying amazing things about this whole things that all you're doing. What is the name of that person, Dreama?
That's Senator Joe Manchin.
Thank you.
And
Yes.
I have to say that Senator Manchin, whether people, you know, politically agree or
Yes.
not, I know nowadays
Yeah.
everything is very divisive, but he has been, he has greeted every honor flight we've done. He does a speech on the Senate floor that goes into the congressional record every time we go in. He has been so supportive and is always, you know, veterans get in touch with me sometimes when they're having trouble at the VA or when they're having
Oh.
issues of some kind, wanting me to ask Senator Manchin to help. And
Yeah.
when I do, he has always stepped up and always helped in any way I've ever asked him to. So, and also, now he's been with us from the beginning. Senator Capito, who is our Republican senator in West Virginia, once she won the election, she has done the same thing. She comes to all of our honor flights, meets all of our veterans.
Oh wow.
We've brought in, because of my manager, Burke Allen, who manages some really wonderful people, we try to do something special
Yeah.
for honor flight every time we do one. Landau Eugene Murphy Jr., the winner of America's Got Talent.
Yeah, we saw a picture before. Yeah.
Exactly, has met our veterans. Joe Coleman of the Platters has
Wow.
come and met our veterans. Joe Blunt of the Drifters has come to meet our flight and to thank our veterans. And it's
Beautiful.
we try to make it as special as we possibly can every trip we make.
It's very beautiful, and I mean, I'm not American. I'm, as you know, I'm born and raised in Italy. But my father, of course, was a young child when the American came to Italy to hand World War II. And so I have my father speaks about the soldier and what being in war is and what being liberated is. So for me, I mean, every time I see a veterans, even though I'm not American, I always go and I embrace them and I thank them, because actually even my freedom is because of their service.
Oh, you know, I mean, tomorrow is such a special day,
Yes,
and we should all. I do the same thing. I never see a veteran, you know, when they're wearing their caps or their vests, and I see them out and about. Of course, we can't hug anymore for the moment,
it's
but
true.
I've always, you know, hugged. I'm a hugger. I've always hugged them
Yeah.
and shaken their hands, and that's the other beautiful thing about this program is that when we do go to Washington, every trip I have seen children. I'm talking this tall, you know, grade school, maybe even kindergarten, in line with grown up college students, standing in line endlessly to come through the line and shake the hand of our veterans that we take to Washington. And it's, it's so humbling. Oh, and a couple of years ago,
Yes.
our honor flight got to lay the wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And that was amazing. We
Wow.
chose a World War II veteran, a Korea veteran, a Vietnam veteran, and then the vice president of Honor Flight, Paul Dorsey, who is a retired Army. And the four of them, you can have four people lay the wreath. And so the four of them were able to lay the wreath. And it was just amazing.
Oh, thank you. I mean, this is very beautiful. And then again, guy goes to bobdenver.com, and Dreama has a lot of pictures. I have to ask you something about that song, Country
Okay.
Home, Take Me Home. I
Oh,
realized yesterday that when I started my career, when I was a student at university in Italy, I was going during the winter time to sing in Switzerland for 3 months with some musicians. And I was just saying to JJ today, one of the songs I was singing, you know, for the rich and famous that were sitting in front of us was "Country Home, Take Me Home." I never realized, and you made that song the West Virginia state
it,
song.
you know, I had a morning show at the time on my radio station. The show was called Sunny Side Up. And doing it one morning, played that song, and somebody called in and said, "Is that a state song?" And I said, "I don't think so." And of course, I researched and find out no, it wasn't. And but it was always used like a state song, like the West Virginia University football team when they win the game, that song plays, and you know. And I thought, okay, this is kind of a no-brainer, if you ask me. So I started talking about it on the morning show that you know, it should be a state song, and I started getting the listeners to call in and call our representatives in Charleston and say that they would like to see it happen. I got in touch with one of our representatives at the time, Marty Gerhart was his name, is still his name,
Yeah.
and he actually co-authored the resolution to have the song adopted. And I went to work. I did every interview, newspaper, television, radio, every interview I could do. And people started getting in touch with me to tell me where they had had the song sung to them. And I mean, you've probably heard this because you've sung it yourself.
Yeah.
But apparently, every pub in Ireland sings this song. It's been sung to them on the Great Wall of China and Dubai. I
Yeah.
mean, all these places people were, and I'm like, okay, this is definitely a no-brainer because it starts. The first four lyrics are "Almost Heaven, West Virginia."
Yes.
So we went to work, and the first year, the House passed it, but the Senate didn't.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, failure is not an option next year. I've got it. I wrote letters to every single senator.
Wow.
I did again everything I could do. Had my listeners calling in, and one day at the beginning of the week, I got a call. I didn't recognize the number, and I usually don't answer, but I answered it anyway, and it was the governor
Wow.
saying, "Dreama, we want you to know we're going to be able to pass this on Friday. We want you here when it's passed." And so I was on the Senate floor when
Wow.
the Senate passed it unanimously. And
Wow.
I'm telling you, it was one of the most blessed days of my life. I wanted to sit down on the Senate floor and cry my eyes out. It was
You're
just,
gonna pass in history. You know that thanks to our friends that introduced me to you, Dreama, I have the events and birthday in history every day when I do the Jada Live.
yes.
We should have you should let me know the day and that happened, and it's gonna be forever the day that Dreama Denver made the country home take me home, the state's song of West Virginia. That's gonna be your day in history.
I love it. It is, I can tell you the date right now.
When is
It
it?
is
Where was it?
March the 14th, 2014.
March 14, 2014?
Right?
So 1414, that's gonna be the day that Dreama Denver made Take Me Home Country Home from John Denver, the state song of West Virginia. I mean, this is an amazing accomplishment. Dreama, you are one last question because and then we are done. Dreama, your name. I never heard the name. Does it come from dream?
No, you know, I wish I had a good story for this. I really do. It was my mother's most creative moment.
Okay.
That's what she said. And she heard, when she was a little girl, she heard the name. And she grew up very poor here in the state of West Virginia.
Yes.
And somewhere along the line, she heard the name. And I'm so glad that her first child was female, because I think any child would have gotten the name. But it's just because she heard it and she loved it. And she said, if I ever have a daughter, I'm going to name her Dreama. And so I got teased about it a lot as a kid. Little boys would go, hey, Dreamboat. And I'd turn around and they would go, not you, Shipwreck. You know, those kinds of things. In spite of all that, I still loved it. I've always felt it was a name that you had to live up to a little bit.
I think
you know?
I remember the first time that the dog told me your name. I was like, Dreama. That's a beautiful name. I've never heard it. I love that. So I think so let's make up a story. You were the dream for your mother, and she made you the dream girl, and there you are, Dreama Denver for all of us. Dreama Perry Denver, right? So let's
Right.
remember also the thing. Dreama, you were a joy to be spent time with. I really.
I just love you. I've told you before. You are.
I know.
charming and
Yeah, Doug was telling me,
beautiful
Dreama loves you. I said, Dreama knows me.
No,
I was like,
just think you're just the best, and you're wonderful at this.
so you are amazing. You're a beautiful woman inside out. And I mean, I really hope that the day will come soon that I get to meet you personally. Guys, all of you leaving all these beautiful comments, go to the bobdenver.com and you find all the information how to stay in contact always with Dreama. And Dreama, when you have the new editions of the Gilligan's Dream, please let me know. So we will be talking about that. And can people still buy the old Gilligan's Dream? Or not anymore?
They can, yes, that's on the website. And then, of
Perfect.
course, let me just say to people who want Four Bears in a Box, a wonderful book for your kids, 0 to probably 10 years of age, bobdenver.com, you can get it there, and I can autograph it and get it right off to you. If you don't care about the autograph and you're an Amazon Prime person, you can get it at Amazon. But if you want it autographed, it would be great to order it at bobdenver.com.
That's amazing. I mean, thank you for doing that so she can sign it for you guys. Dreama, I love you. I never met you, and I don't use the word I love easily, so I really love you. I think you're a splendid human being. Thank you for being part of my circle of love, for having spent this time with us. And
I'm so happy to be.
Me too. And give also a big hug to your colleague with the front head. And you are a dream. You are an amazing human being. I love you. Stay safe out there, and I'm looking forward to see you for a real hug very, very soon. Thank you again for being my guest.
I hope so too. And thank you, Doug Hartline, for bringing us together.
It's true. Thank you, Doug, too.
That's
Bye,
it.
Dreama.
Bye-bye.
We love you. Ciao, Bella. Was she so sweet and beautiful? I mean, you meet sometimes people that you don't even need to spend more than 2 seconds with a person and you know you love it. By the way, I see a lot of new people watching. You're watching to Giada Valenti. I'm here in Las Vegas doing this Giada Live. I was doing it daily, and actually now I have been doing it only twice a week. This week was a kind of a I tell you what I've done. Actually, my whole week was a busy week. But please also, if you're watching for the first time, continue to like in my Facebook page and share and subscribe my YouTube channel. I'm trying to convey all the people from Facebook to YouTube, and then step by step maybe to my Patreon page, where it's like a private Facebook. You saw at the beginning of the week somebody even start a page faking it was me, and I put an announce of my Facebook that that woman called Giada Valenti wasn't me. So please be careful out there. Facebook starts to get a little bit crazy in there. If you have not seen, I see a lot of you watching for the first time. If you've not seen me ever and you liked what you saw today, I did this one for more than 100 days. You can go on Giada.live, Giada.live, and Giada is spelled Giada.live, and you can see all the episodes I had, like today, Dreama Denver. I had an amazing guest in these 3 months that we spent together daily, and I see all of you are the circle of love again here with me. I hope you missed me because I missed you. But anyway, you saw me only twice this week because, as I said, I was working. I mean, you know, first every day I have issues with my computer, but you know me, I'm stubborn. Until I can have enough money to buy a new one, I make this one do the impossible. And then suddenly I got like what they call a gig. I was supposed to do a performance at the what is it called, at the Redlands Bowl in California. It's this beautiful outdoor theater, but of course due to COVID-19 there's no possibility to do concerts. So the Redlands Bowls in near San Bernardino, they are an amazing organization. They said, you know, we still want to bring music to our viewers. So they asked me if I was willing to give my music and do something special for them. So they would put on YouTube and on Facebook and also on televisions, on PBS channel in San Bernardino, my music special with me talking to their audience. I said, of course I want to do that. So I'm very honored and blessed. That's July 10 actually, and you guys can watch. I'm gonna be opening the Redlands Bowl Summer Music Festival with this virtual concert that you guys can watch on YouTube and Facebook. You see the youtube.com Redland Bowls and the facebook.com Redland Bowl. I will share it also on my page so you will see it. So it's gonna be Friday, July the 10th at 8 p.m. for us here on the West Coast, which is 11 p.m. for you guys on the East Coast, so it's a little bit late. And I think the link is gonna be available and stay live for I think a week, for a few days. So also for you guys in Europe, in Ireland, you don't have to stay up in the middle or put the alarm clock in the middle of the night. It's gonna be there for I think a couple of days, so you will be able to see. So this week, that's what I've been doing. I was doing all the editings of my From Venice with Love videos, and I made some special videos where I'm sharing some stories and allows with the people of the Redlands Bowl. Of course, I would have loved to be there because JJ, go back to the card. Have you seen how beautiful is that outdoor concert they have every summer? They have thousands of people. It's like the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles, but a little bit smaller. And they do amazing concert. That, by the way, people, if you are in the region, you can see them for free. Basically, they just suggest donations, and people is very generous because they donate a lot, because the Red Bull Summer Festival always have amazing names of performance performing there. So go on the Red Bull, the Redlands Bowl .com, I think is the website, and you can see the whole summer season. And they're all free concert that you guys can see on YouTube and Facebook throughout the summer. And I'm very honored that they asked me, and I will be opening the summer season. So that's what I've been doing the whole week. Then for the rest, what I've done, I've received finally the wines. There was a problem. You remember that I said starting in July we're going to have the wine. Here is the bottle of wine of Bosco del Merlo. This is the Prosecco. I have a lot of wine in my living room. We received it like a few minutes before the showtime started because the box broke. The first one that they sent it broke during shipment. So and here is the Pinot Grigio that they sent me. I have more, of course, and I haven't opened none, so I'm not drunk yet. You know me, I don't drink much, but we're gonna not be drinking like crazy. We're gonna be learning about wines, and with also wine expert that will be part of the Giada Live. And yesterday I also received a nice beautiful package with a letter from our Italian signorina Janet Sessa that I see there. So Janet, thank you so much for the letter. She always writes the most beautiful letter. You know that on Saturday I'm always cooking, and she knows that I'm like a fancy girl. So she sent me this beautiful apron that you will see when I'm going to the kitchen. It's like a little dress, you see. Normally with an apron you don't have a waistline. With this one you do. It's like a little black dress, and it's written, of course, can you see here, little black apron. So thank you, Janet. It was not only this, of course, and there is pearls. There is pearls. JJ said I ruined my hair, sorry. And you see, there is pearls. And of course, She's a wonderful friend, so she sent me also her favorite perfume. She knows I love light blue of Dolce & Gabbana, but she sent me her favorite one because she said she loves this one too. And I must say, guys, I wish that on Facebook you could smell it. This is an amazing smell, and it's called I Love Love. I should have bought this myself years ago because I do love love. And it's a beautiful smell. It's from Moschino. It's also Italian. And of course, she knows I'm going to have some day off and I'm going to the pool. So she sent me some body lotions and body spray for when I'm going to the pool. There's not going to be people around the pool, Janet, but I will smelling like a flower. The smell of these things is fantastic. I put it on yesterday for JJ. JJ was like, what is this smell? I said, it's from Janet. It came all the way from Janet. So thank you very much, Janet. You guys are fantastic. I left you alone for a couple of days and all of you were texting and writing, messaging me. Where is she? Is she okay? Is she okay? I see also Nan, Wes and Gina. You guys yesterday, I didn't answer to a message like if I was okay. You guys were wondering something happened. No, I was okay. I was just working, trying to do because I had a deadline for the Redland Bowl concert that I needed to deliver July 1st, and my computer was driving me crazy. So I spent 2 days waking up at 7 and going to bed like at 3 in the morning, trying to adjust and do everything. I did it. Hopefully very soon I will be able to have a new computer so I can do all this work in 10 minutes. So I can get prepared earlier. Then talking of which, today I am going to be reading something from my computer because other problem we had today with JJ, 2 minutes before showtime, the printer had no ink, so we couldn't print. My JJ is laughing. And JJ said, we have a problem. I said, what's the problem, Watson? He said, the ink is finished. Of course, the Staples stores is too far away. 2 minutes before showtime, he could go nowhere. So I will be reading today the events and the birthday thanks to our amazing Doug Artline from the computer. I want to also thank first before Roger Scallion, talking about my amazing guest. I had last week Steve Solomon, and Steve Solomon has a book out, and Roger sent me this beautiful picture. He bought the book. I hope you're enjoying the book. Here it is, Political Correctness. Remember Steve was talking about it. Thank you, Roger, for buying and supporting all my friends. It's COVID-19 and we all need some support, and Roger is amazing, like many of you watching there. You guys are amazing. So without further ado, before the show became 2 hours long, birthday and events of the day, July 3rd. Thank you, Doug, also for the day that I was not live, but I read them all, and I will share a few extra here today. So July 3rd, Friday. So in events, in 1608, Samuel de Champlain founds the city of Quebec in Canada, like the French would say. For those that don't know, Quebec is as close as you can get on the North American continent to thinking you are actually in France. I agree with you, Doug. If you go, Doug is saying, I suggest you have high tea at the breathtaking Chateau Frontenac near Parc du Bastion de la Reine. Here is a picture actually also of Susie, Doug's wife, in front of it. And Doug said, and never in my life I have known her, Susie, to go anywhere without her umbrella. But look at her. She was right to have an umbrella because it looks like it's raining. So a beautiful place, by the way. So today, Quebec was founded. And today events in 1845, pioneer French magician Jean-Eugène Robert Houdini opens his magic theater in Paris, and he was considered the father of the modern magic and transformed magic into being an entertainment part of the business. We had several guests that were magicians during the Giada life, Hans Klock and also Jen Kramer we had, and they all, of course, admire Houdini for making magic a part of an art and business. And today in 1928, John Logie Baird, very important, demonstrates the first color television transmissions in London. The demonstration was of a young girl wearing different colored hats. That's him, and Jay just showed the picture. It wouldn't be until 1938, so 10 years later, that we had a world first broadcast in London Dominion theaters, and decades later, before it would be practical for people to have television at home. This shows how slow technology goes, but also Doug agreed with me that now the circle is much shorter. Everything happens so fast right now. And in 1958, Andy Williams' show premieres on ABC, later CBS and NBC here in the United States. For those who one that are familiar with it, it was an amazing, wonderful singers, and the variety show was amazing. Yes. So great for that. And today in 1985, somebody I've met actually, Michael J. Fox, debuted today in the movie Back to the Future. There's the poster, directed by Robert Zemeckis. I thought it was Spielberg that directed Back to the Future. No, apparently no. So it was Robert Zemeckis. There we go. And birthday of the day, 1878. We always start far, far, far back. George McCohan, the American father of the musical comedy and patriotic music, is born in Providence, Rhode Island. Most of us watch and get entertained by him, me one of them, every 4th of July when the story of his life is played by James Cagney in the film Yankee Doodle Dandy. It's true, they broadcast it every year. He actually, at one time, he had so many hits that he was called the man that owned Broadway. He wrote more than 50 shows and 300 songs, including Over There and Give My Regards to Broadway and You Are a Grand Old Flag. He was the founding members of the ASCAP, the American Society of Composers, Authors and Publishers, which I'm a member of, so thank you. And President Franklin Roosevelt gave him the Congressional Gold Medal for his contribution to World War I morale, particularly for the songs Over There and You Are a Grand Old Flag. That's the pictures of it. How impressive is that? And I lived in New York City for 11 years, and since he's considered the man that created Broadway, next time you are on Broadway in Times Square, check out the beautiful statues that there is dedicated to him. JJ will show it to you. It's a beautiful statue with a beautiful view on Times Square. And JJ can find a picture. JJ, if you find a picture, show it later. It's a beautiful picture. Anyway, 1906, next time look up for the picture, Times Square, that's it. 1906, George Sanders is born in St. Petersburg, Russia, and comes to the United States, where he stars in many films and wins an American Academy Award for his role on All About Eve with Bette Davis. There he is, very handsome gentleman. He also joined Louis Prima, we had Lena Prima, the daughter, a few weeks ago, in doing voice work for the cartoon Jungle Book, as he played the voice of the tiger Shere Khan. How interesting. 1921, Susan Peters is born in Spokane, Washington. I never heard of Spokane, Washington, only from Wes and Gina. And now lately we're doing all this birthday, and Spokane and events comes up. So it must be a nice place to visit. So she was born today in 1921. JJ showed the pictures again. She was a spectacular young actress, and she had many films under her belt, and she received an Academy Award nomination for her work in Random Harvest, a film that is highly recommended for its tremendous acting performances. That's what Doug is saying. She was one of the most promising newcomers, but she was paralyzed from an accident and died at the tender age of 31, unfortunately. And in 1930, Pete Fontaine, American jazz clarinetist, was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. Doug said that he grew up with his music, and years later, when he was visiting New Orleans for an event, he went on a bar and he was playing there, and he said the only thing I thought was like, wow, he's so famous in his ear, and he wanted to call heaven to tell his grandmother that he finally got to hear the man that he made fall in love with that kind of music. She was there, Doug, remember? When you talk about dead people, that's because they are there. Last birthday, couple of birthday of the day, 1962, Tom Cruise, Tom Cruise, as we say in Italy, was born today. It was born in Syracuse, New York. Of course, we know him for many, many movies. Some of my favorite, Jerry Maguire, Rayman, Mission Impossible. And he turns today 58. Last birthday of the day, Audra McDonald, American actress and singer of 6 Tony Awards, was born today in West Berlin and is the only actress to win in all 4 acting categories. Wow, we have a few one memorable mention, because I didn't go live for all this week. July 1st actually was the birthday of Olivia de Avilar. She was born in 1916. JJ is showing the picture. Is the only actress is still alive from the famous movie Gone with the Wind, and she was born in Tokyo, Japan. Doug told me the whole story. Basically, the parents then they came to America and they stopped in San Francisco because she was sick, and the father abandoned her, and the mother and the kids. So they ended up moving to a place where Doug and Susie went to school. There she acted in a school play, and that was the beginning of an amazing career for her. I have one fun fact about her that actually, yeah, just like Sophia Loren. So, fun facts about true love. We had Dreama and Bob Denver today talking about amazing love. She famously turned down Jimmy Stewart's proposal for marriage. Do you remember? Jimmy Stewart was like the George Clooney at the time. And she ended up marrying a French man and moved to Paris in 1955, where she still lives today. And funny enough, another one of my favorites, Sophia Loren, did the same, as she was asked to marry Cary Grant, and she said no to Cary Grant to marry the love of her life, Carlo Ponti. And in a few months we will be celebrating also Donna Sofia's birthday. So these were the birthday and the events of the day. This was the Giada life of the day. Let me have a sip of water for all this work in my beautiful Giada cup that you still can get, you know where, the neilportnoy.com. If you want to watch this episode or other episode, you can go to giada.live and you can see all the episode. JJ show also the place where you can order these cups, and since a couple of weeks there is also international shipping, and I know many of you did it because Neil is let me know that he got some requests for more cups, so keep drinking in the Giada cups. So tomorrow is going to be 4th of July. 4th of July. First, I wanted to wear my new apron tomorrow and cook something for you, but then I was talking to friends and many of you of the Circle of Love. 4th of July, everybody will be taking a day off and barbecuing and having a good time. And you guys in Europe are anyway, it's late at night and you will be sleeping. So I decided to skip the cooking also because not all the wine has arrived. So we do the cooking next Saturday. I will be going live again on Tuesday. Do you remember, JJ, who is my guest on Tuesday?
The old lady.
Oh, you want to tune on Tuesday. Tuesday we're going to have a Walt Disney's legend. Margaret, I forgot her family name, gee. I should write it down. But anyway, she was the real lady which Walt Disney's made Tinkerbell. So she has this beautiful book that JJ is picking it up for me, that Doug sent me, about her story. Basically, she has met everybody. There was somebody, Margaret is 93. Anybody, there was somebody in Hollywood for the last 60 years. Here's the book. Thank you, JJ. Margaret Carey, there she is. This is her, Margaret Carey. This is the book of her life. Very small letters. So her life is amazing. She was, of course, a dear friend of also Walt Disney and Tinkerbell. Here she is a picture. She was the real life Tinkerbell. So thank you, Doug, for this gift, this book, and for putting me in contact with Margaret Carey. And we're going to have her on Tuesday, 93 years old, and she will be talking to us and telling her amazing story. So tune on Tuesday. Guys, happy 4th of July tomorrow. Happy Sunday on Sunday. Don't forget to tune in on Tuesday, same time, same place. I love you. I want to say hello to each and every one of you that I see there. Thank you, Diane. I love you. Keep coming with my sign language. And I love you all, friends and family, and I will be seeing you on Tuesday. Giada Valenti here from Las Vegas, vi mando un abbraccio e vi dico a presto, a martedì. Ciao!
Dankeschön, dear old Dankeschön. Thank you for seeing me again. Though I'm here in my solitude, I know you are there, and in my heart I smile again. And so I sing here in my solitude, waiting to see you, same time, same place, and I can't wait to say again, Dankeschön, 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 dear old Auf Wiedersehen. See you tomorrow. A domani.